The cast of President Donald Trump's Ukraine pressure campaign grows ever wider. 100 pages of newly released State Department documents show that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo spoke to President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, twice in March. That was shortly before U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, was removed from office. Scott Lucas says it's not hard to infer what they were talking about.
But the day before Pompeo's second call with Giuliani, there was a timeline prepared which set out all of the material about Biden, his son Hunter, and Marie Yovanovitch, trying to set up, in other words, a paper trail for the Secretary of State of these alleged activities by Biden and Yovanovitch that warranted an investigation by Ukraine.
Good evening. A Logan mother is tonight facing 2 charges of murder. Her young daughter's dead after being found in a hot car outside their home.
1-year-old Chloe and 2-year-old Darcy, inseparable sisters whose lives had barely begun. Defenceless babies left inside a hot car on a 30-degree day. It's believed their mum, Kerry-Ann Conley, had fallen asleep inside the home, leaving Chloe and Darcy inside the family's Mazda since early yesterday morning. Paramedics were called that afternoon. After hours spent inside the scorching car, the 27-year-old put her daughters in the bath to cool them down.
We thought that they had drowned first because they were so wet.
But both siblings died from horrific heat stress. Detectives charging Conley with their murder.
A major bombshell has hit the federal government with the defection of a man who claims to be a Chinese spy. The man has handed over what he says are details of intelligence operations here in Australia, and he's pleading to be given political asylum.
Never before has a Chinese spy broken their cover anywhere in the world.
I know very well that the Chinese Communist Party can never be trusted.
Wang Lichang now pleading for political asylum in Australia, claiming he conducted espionage for the Chinese Communist government, his defection detailing Chinese intelligence operations here in Australia and exposing senior spies in Hong Kong.
Once I go back, I will be dead.
As a result of the joint investigation between the Herald, Age and 60 Minutes, the highest levels of our intelligence agencies are trying to verify his claims.
Montenegro is mostly known as a holiday destination, but some consider this Balkan country a strategically important location for Russia's political influence in the region. In 2016, reports say that Montenegro was the subject of a Moscow-backed coup attempt and targeted by Russian-linked hackers. Their NATO ally, the United States, also suspect it's been targeted by Russian hackers. Democrats and Republicans are still discussing whether Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election.
Right now, Russia's security services and their proxies have geared up to repeat their interference in the 2020 election.
With both countries gearing up for elections next year, some lawmakers say cyber attacks are a top concern.
While in Nagasaki, one of the 2 Japanese cities hit by atomic bombs at the end of World War II, Pope Francis has called for nuclear weapons to be abolished. The Pope paid a visit Sunday to Atomic Bomb Hypocenter Park, where he said a world without nuclear weapons is both possible and necessary and will require collective action by people and countries around the globe, whether or not they have nuclear weapons. The possession of nuclear weapons, he said, is indefensible and urged the prompt ratification of the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. The Pope was also due to bring his anti-nuclear message to Hiroshima later in the day. This is the first papal visit to Japan in 38 years and only the second in history. President Moon Jae-in, shortly before making his way down to Bhutan, held a bilateral summit in Seoul with the visiting Sultan of Brunei. The 2 leaders agreed to strengthen their ties in business related to ICT in particular.
Promising future partnerships on smart cities and ICT-related businesses, the leaders of South Korea and Brunei have renewed their countries' ties ahead of the ASEAN-Korea Commemorative Summit scheduled to begin on Monday. President Moon Jae-in shook hands with Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, who will also attend the ASEAN summits in Busan. The leaders promised substantive cooperation for the development of the bilateral ties.
Those guys, they found